cause trouble. G'day, legends. Time for a bit of Jim Does SuperCoach. AFL SuperCoach Week 1. That's right, footy's back. We're here. We did a big episode of Footy Unfilterated the other day, talking out all the ins and outs of stuff. And now we're talking SuperCoach as the rubber hits the road. These are the games that count. Yes, the scores from last week count for the players. They do not count overall. So this is very interesting stuff. We've got a little bit of intel from week 0. Let's put it to use. That's right. So I just want to jump on with a bit of Jim Does SuperCoach. Take a look at my AFL SuperCoach team before the week 1 lockout rolls over tonight. I'm also taking the squid to this Carlton-Richmond game because he's playing at halftime. How good is that? Bit of Oz kick. That's going to be awesome. His old man will be sitting in the bleachers just sinking a few tins outside of the dry area. So it's going to be awesome. It's actually the second time he's done it. He didn't get a touch the first time. So fingers crossed he does a little bit better this time. He'll be right. But I can't wait. So Carlton-Richmond tonight in 4 hours. So we better get this show done and up. They were a lot of changes to my team after round 0. I think everybody else is in the same sort of boat. That intel is absolutely priceless. It's a free look at absolutely players from 10 of the 18 teams, which is very cool. It also, obviously, you got to remember those early buys, all that sort of stuff. I'm still not wildly concerned about the buys, the early buys especially. I think with the best 18 scoring, the way I've sort of structured my team, a lot of the fellas on buys that I've got from these round 0 teams, they're very, very easily covered, I think, by either rookies or other premos. And it's kind of well balanced across those rounds of buys. So I'm not too concerned about that. Other thing just to keep in mind before we start talking out the team is just remember to have a look at who they're playing. Just schedule. I talked about this before. I love Gold Coast early schedule. We saw Petrarca go absolutely off his head in week 0. You also had Took Miller go massive. That was very cool. Oh, I think this was pointed out to me. I still had Matt Rowell in the screenshot that I used in the show last week. He was I'd taken him out for Zeret, who was still in my team, but yeah, it was a bit weird. Anyway, but you sort of look at that Gold Coast team and go, oh, they've got a real nice run because now they play West Coast and you're like, oh, this could get very squirrely very early. And then Gold Coast take on a very, very, very beatable Richmond, I reckon, in round 2. So yeah, Gold Coast feel very, very nice right now. But anyway, Port have that great schedule for rucks. So, I mean, you sort of look at what they're doing. Well, North will also have this ruck dominant schedule as well. So Port's rucks you don't have to worry about, but they've got an easier schedule to do the power. So Rosie and Butters are locks, right? Basically, right? Essendon looks all right as well. Basically, just look ahead. Next 3-4 rounds, see who these guys are playing. Feel good about it. It's not too massive, though, if they've got a couple of tough games, whatever. As long as they're not getting tagged out of the game, like they sort of, tried to do with Naz last week. Just something to keep in the back of the old Bonts with the Saints versus the Pies. But Perryman did an absolute number on Naz. And I guess that's where we sort of got to because as we dig into my team, I've made a couple of changes. I've actually got a mid-pricer, I think, on every line right now, which is, I think, okay as long as we're scoring decently and the money isn't being sort of missed out on elsewhere at the moment, I think. So guns and rookies, but there's a smattering of mid-prices. I feel okay about it. And the big thing for me is Lockie McAndrews in my flex at the moment. He might just switch with TDK just as the flex rolls over, and that sort of bottom score drops off, flex takes it over. The TDK one might be a bit interesting. So trying to figure out McAndrews scoring versus some of the other rookies. He'd replace obviously one of them if he's had a good one. Don't know. It's a bit of an interesting question though. But in terms of other ones that we've got, the structure has changed a little bit after week 0 just because with those big prices that the big scores that we saw, they'll impact prices very early on and in some cases in a very big way. So let's get into it. What are we doing with our team for week 1? Let's start up back with the defenders. And I have, look out. I still don't feel great about it. I've moved off Naz. He's not the Nazaya. He's a very naughty boy. No, he's Nazaya Wanganeen Miller. He was awesome. And got sort of tagged out of the game a bit, didn't he, against the Pies, which worried me and everybody else. To the tune of like him scoring a pretty rough 63, which, I mean, when you think about this, right, and this is the round zero scores in a nutshell, that 63 goes into his price cycle straight away, and it's going to take a little bit to climb out of because he's priced at 622k. I already had Sinclair on my team. I feel great about that after he ripped off 143. I've got Rosie. And with Naz having the 63, James Sicily pulled off a massive week zero, round zero, and at 483k with 128 in his price cycle, I don't like it because I don't really like him. But Sicily comes into my team just because of the sheer upside of him playing Essendon this week. Plenty of work and run off the back half, obviously, for Sicily. And against the Bombers, like, who knows what could happen there. That is a really, really tasty run of scores here. So pretty excited about what he could get up to because they then play Sydney in round two and then he has the bye. And this is like this sort of thing of juggling these byes. If he has a decent score against Sydney, which we've seen again, they absolutely dominated my beloved Blues. I'm wearing the hat. Here we are. Then he's got the Cats, the Dogs, Port, Gold Coast. I feel like Hawthorn are going to be in absolute dogfights like for the vast majority of this season. And you saw it in round zero, right? There's a lot of ball coming into that back half. He's a very, very involved man, is James Sicily. So into my team he comes with that score there. Hopefully, whether or not he is an absolute roll gold primo out of the first few weeks, we're going to find out. But I feel pretty confident in his ability to make me a bit of money straight off the bat, and away we go, right? Because if you look at the other sort of defenders from round zero that put up big numbers, it's Sinclair, it's Josh Daicos, which I also love because there's not too many other ball movers really in that Pies team. Zorko was really good with 131. The war criminal Braden Maynard is not coming into my team for love or money. But anyway, but the other one, so having moved off Naz, bringing in Sicily, D4 is now Joe Fonti. Oh, look out. Here's trouble. It's bloody Joe Fonti. 119 priced at 298k. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love his role in that GWS team. It does feel like he could be very much one of the dudes where it's like, aha, it's a week zero trap. It's a trap, right? Very big vibes of that. It's a trap. But what I really did like is his role. His ability to be around the ball. If he can get to 400k quick sticks from 298k with 119 already in his price cycle, look out. I'm feeling pretty good, right? And in terms of some of the other mid prices out there, especially in defense, I really, really like his spot. And I feel like the other sort of folks out there that were really, really solid, that probably some pretty interesting pods. Matt Roberts for the Swans was awesome. I thought about him for a little bit in place of the Sicily guy. Tom Stewart again, I just don't really vibe that. And Josh Daicos at 525k. There's some pretty good ones out there, but Fonti, I think, again, really early on in the season, cash gen. I'm just about cash generation. Fonti with 119, Sicily 128 already. We just sort of need to be going par from here, and they're going to be making boatloads of cash. Outside of that, with the D5, D6, it's Sarong and Jax at the moment, with Selwood and Lindsay on the bench, right? So I think Josh Lindsay, it's an interesting one just in terms of the Eagles teams, obviously, but Selwood was fantastic for the Dogs, and Jax was really good too. He had 84. That's fantastic. Love that. And Sarong's role for the Swans was really, really good. So he rips off that 77. I feel good about starting Sarong and Jax on field for this week in my D5, D6. And the bench, Selwood, Lindsay, that's all right. Not convinced otherwise. Like, Sam Grill is like obviously the big one for the Tigers. The Tigers and their young folk, this is also Gibkiss. I just kind of want to see it. And if we have to make like an adjustment trade down the road because one of them just goes off or both of them go off, maybe Lindsay just isn't, even named, and I can maybe jump to Grill somehow. That's probably where I go. But priced at 172, he has to be pretty decent off the bat. I'm a little bit hesitant with the Richmond rookies. Zeke Ulland obviously was everywhere. Butchered the ball though, 37 points at 199k. He could go big again this week and then we'll look at him again. But yeah, it's a little bit of a worry on. Kitty Coleman, the 60 at 233k. Probably a bit of a worry. Also got to buy in 2 weeks. Lockie Carmichael missed out Farrow, if he's named, keep an eye on him as well. I like him. So between, I think, Farrow, Lindsay, Selwood, Gibkiss Grill, there's some really good defensive rookie options. These are the ones I'm going with at the moment. Sarong, Jax, Selwood, and Lindsay. How do we feel about that? I do also, look, with Fonti there at 298, the other one that I did really kick the tires on was Caleb Windsor, 283K. I think his role is going to be huge for the Ds. Melbourne just need guys who can use the ball. And I think he'll be very, very involved. Colby McCurch is the other one, a bit of an injury scare about him, but I think he'll be right. But again, at 449K, he just basically comes in as one of your premos. There's the defense. Sinclair, Rosie, Sicily, my boy Joe Fonti, Jai Sarong, Lucky Jacks, Selwood and Lindsay. What do we reckon? I think Selwood with a 70 under his belt already at 119K. He's going to be a fascinating one in terms of teams. Again, all of this is, still relies on teams that come out tonight. So pump the brakes there. We can make some changes. But anyway, midfield. Obviously, I had Raul in it when I screenshot it last week, which is pretty funny. He was replaced with Zeret, and Zeret is still there for the minute. I've still got no Daicos and no Bont. Why is that, Jim? Daicos was very good. The question for me is literally between Daicos and Bont. Daicos and Zeret right now. Is Zeret going to have a big week against the team that he was going to go to and wanted desperately to go to the point where they gave him a secret Santa present of a signed Jack Ginnivan Hawthorn jersey? I think Zeret will have a good game. Does he have the upside of Daicos? The consistency is always there. Daicos was amazing round zero. I am now edging towards popping Daicos in that spot behind Butters as my mid two. But for the minute, sitting right there is Butters, because I do like the balance of the team right now. Butters, Merritt, Lockie Neal comes into the team. He had 123, was absolutely everywhere. It looks like he's like, hey, yeah, that was an off season. Oh, God, I like playing footy. 123, 39 touches. Goulden and Walsh were in my team already. I love that I could get Goulden at 566, Sammy Walsh at 543, 113 and 114 for them. Locked and loaded, already there. The other big one, the big, mid-pricer here, Tanner Bruhn, 91 in his price cycle at 276K. Again, doesn't have to do a giant amount from here on out. If he has like 2 more decent scores in the next 3 weeks, that is going to be a big price rise. So again, I really liked his role. Watching that Geelong team, he was everywhere. He's obviously very, very talented. It's been a lot of other stuff that has meant that we haven't seen Tanner Bruhn, right? So 91, already in the bag. Don't mind that. And so that's my top 6 mids right now. 7 and 8 are the rookies, Jagger Smith, Dyson Sharp, because Jagger, 65, week 0, not bad, feeling pretty good about it. Dyson Sharp, that's all about, obviously, who gets named for the bomb rays. He's looked the best preseason, so we'll see how we go there. I feel better about probably either he or Blamires. Blamirize. There you go. Tommy Blamirize. Like, if he actually gets named for North, Tom Blamires, I'm fascinated by whether or not I put him on field ahead of Dyson Sharp. So we'll just look at teams when they all get announced. Outside of that, I've got Jack Carroll, who had 54 on my bench. Blamires. Will Brodie was sitting there for so long, but it doesn't look like he's going to get a game. So Jack Watkins is at 99K, which is a fascinating spot. Just keeping an eye on teams. The other ones out there, like Will Dersma, he's priced probably a little bit too high for my liking. Chase Jones at 119 for the Crom. Charlie Edwards. Artie Jones only managed 21 before he got whacked in the head last week. And it gets pretty thin on the ground pretty quickly, right? And in terms of like the most popular players right now that are actually out there, there are 2 other mid-prices. And this is I like Tanner Bruhn a little bit more than the likes of Darcy Parish and Hayden Young, because he's already got the 91 in his price cycle. Parish might go absolutely massive. Hayden Young might go absolutely massive. There's already injury clouds around Hayden Young. I want to just bank on the 91. We've already got that. So it's free. It's a free 91 points. I'm going to take it. Outside of this, you've got Finn McRae, which is another big one that you could put in your midfield. If he is named, I'm chucking him in. We've seen him before for the Pies, and maybe he gets a nice run here at the Eagles. He's already in 39% of teams. I think that's because he's also a mid forward. other ones out there, and sort of, Sid Draper's already on the outer with, the injury coming back from that, just hasn't played enough. Leon Kickett, probably not going to get in there at 14%. Lockie Carmichael's another big one for the Dogs if he gets named. He's a, defense mid, off you go, DPP. Feeling pretty good about that. But Jack Watkins is the one that I'm rolling with right now. So see how we go with that. Hopefully he gets named. So Butters, Zeret/Daicos, Lockie Neal, Goulden, Errol, Sam Walsh, Tanner Bruhn, oh geez, Dyson Sharp, Jagger Smith, Jack Carroll, Jack Watkins, Tom Blamirez. There's your mids. Rucks, look out, Cherry. I'm still believing in Cherry. He's got such a great matchup this week against Port. I might be throwing the C on him. I've got the C on him right there. Tom De Koning as well. Managed 96 last week. I feel like he rucked and moved around the ground really, really well. And when you've got Rowan Marshall getting cooked up, like it's a bit hard. Like we saw, only 117 for Tinglish, 112 for Grundy. The ruck scoring is going to be a little bit tougher. We understand that. I think I kind of still trust De Koning's ability to get around the field and impact in different ways. And at 524K, like he's probably my favorite of that sort of price point. And Cherry, I just want to back in like the talent. He's just awesome. So at R3 on the bench, I've got ZZ Top, Zane Zakatelski, 56 in round 0, with Harris Andrews, tribunal vibes out, and I reckon we might see a little bit more of him. He's massive, so that's good, right? So hopefully we get more ZZ Top, because you'll sort of see what happens, like if he just keeps getting time on the field, and off we go. So you get the Lions without Harris Andrews. ZZ Top hopefully just comes straight back in. Harris Andrews out for 3 games. Hopefully they just back in ZZ and we keep scoring points on our R3. Up forward! Jim, where's Lockie McAndrews? Yeah, he's on my flex. So this is the other thing, right? Like whether or not, in terms of the way the flex rolls, the flex knocks off your lowest scoring player on the field. Maybe it's worth having De Koning or somebody in that flex spot and McAndrew at R2, because if he's outscoring some of your other rookies on field, like a Sharp or a Sarong or Jackson, someone, maybe they get knocked off and you get the higher, actual scores. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, or if he's actually not that good, he gets knocked off by De Koning and away we go. So this is the decision we're going to make. Up forward, everybody is sort of basically sitting there going, I think we've all got the same forwards. Harry Sheasel, Christian Petrarca ripped off 170 for the Suns the other day. It was amazing. Stupid sexy Flanders. He scored 77 for the Saints at 396. Worth monitoring. I do love him. He is very hit and miss. In comes Fonti Budarick after a 105 for the Dogs. That was awesome to see. Again, I liked his role. I think he'll still get plenty of the pill. And at 245K with the 105 in his cycle, he'll be laughing. And then the 4 rooks that I've got, well, the cheapies, maybe not rooks. Matthias Philippou, 66 on the weekend for the Saints at 168. Leo Lombard managed 69. Nice. 119K. Todd Marshall and Devin Robinson. Right, Finn McRae is also still floating around, but that's what I've got for the forwards right now. I think a lot of us do. In terms of like any other sort of pods, it gets pretty difficult because, Rankin's already rubbed out. Petrarca's got that huge score in his cycle. Sam Darcy, if you've got him in there and like the way that you're structured, I still feel okay-ish. I was massive on Sam Darcy all preseason, 517K, had 61. Couldn't quite get near the ball at times. Like Norton had a great game. He was also going up against the Lions, right? And they had a lot of tall timber there. So if you've got Darcy, I don't know if it's panic stations. If he has one more slight dip in his scoring, I might be jumping on him as a upgraded, depressed scoring upgrade here for someone. But Cozzy Pickett as well could be massive. So keep an eye on them. DeGoey also managed a 90 on the weekend. So he is an interesting mid-pricer too. Joel Frazier is one that I talked about last week as an awesome, interesting pod. So we'll see how he goes. And I think if you look at, it's fascinating watching Frazier because he is a really, really fun player to watch play footy. The SuperCoach scoring sometimes is there. Last week he managed only 50. So it's just kind of like, maybe, but just wanted to keep in the back of the old bonds. Other names still floating out there. Obviously, Josh Rochelle, Sam Lawler, see how he goes tonight, and then off they go. So, how's this all look? How you feeling? There's your forwards, Shees, Petrarca, Stupid Sexy Flanders, Leo, Lombard, Budarick, Philippou, Marshall, and Devon Robertson. I feel okay about that. I think it's a good balance. I think the teams, even if I usually eschew mid-prices because they can really bite you on the bum real quickly, I feel pretty good about this. Leo Lombard was fantastic. I talked about him last week. I wasn't sure. That's why week 0 rocked. You got to see him at full flight, see his role, see how Hardwick is using him. Leo looked great. He comes into my team. So the flex, obviously, that'll be like one of the rucks replacing probably McAndrew. I'll probably switch them around and off we go. But Daicos scoring 117, price at the 628K. It'll come down to the wire for me tonight once we sort of see teams and how the rookies all sort of lay out what the team looks like with all the green ticks. Him versus Zeret is basically the big question for me this week. Starting with Daicos is always a smart move, right? But he also can, if he gets a bit of a slow start, maybe see what happens. But I think the Pies playing Adelaide, he will score pretty big as well. They're the sort of team that just is pinging around and off we go. I feel like, Zeret could have a huge run against the Hawks. And if you look at his history against the Hawks, against what? He had 89 against them last year at the G in round 1. Yeah, I don't know. He averages, 100? It's pretty low. I might have to switch this over to Daicos. But for the minute, Zeret's sitting there. No Bont, the 113 for Bont in round 0. He's starting at 706K. It just means I'll wait. He'll take an inevitable dip. And then you get him in just because at 706 it's a really hard number to get to. You can balance out your team a little bit better with more options, a few more rookies here and there. And no Naz. If he has a slightly down week 1, round 1, he'll shed dollars as he heads into the next one, even if he goes massive in, his 3rd game. But I feel like the cash generation I'm going to get elsewhere will probably hopefully make up for any points that he might outscore maybe Sicily or whatever. I'm not entirely convinced that Sicily's not going to go off his head for the next few weeks. So that's where I'm at. The other ones are looking for rookies that are named this week for teams tonight. Lockie Carmichael, Sharp and Farrow for the Bombers. Obviously the Will Brodie, Jack Watkins duo. Blamires, obviously. And obviously Lindsay and McRae for the Eagles, Devon Robertson, where they're all going. There's some pretty interesting ones out there, right? And in terms of other folks, the most owned, Sam Grill is in 66% of teams. He might still slot into mine depending as of tonight, because of team. So we'll keep an eye on that. So anyway, that's it. That's my team. Let us know how you're rolling, who you're rolling with, your pods, who you trust, who you don't trust, what your trade plans are, your rookies, your gun primos that you back in that I haven't. And there you go. Bit of Jim Does SuperCoach for AFL Round 1. Footy is back. I'm going to go tonight. I'm so excited. This is going to be awesome. Footy is fully back. So there you go. Here's to a huge week in SuperCoach. Remember, you get around all of the Jim Does SuperCoach stuff on the socials. Let us know what you reckon. Jump in the comments. Send us DMs. We'll do some yeah-nahs. We're going to keep doing this each week on Thursday, so hit us up. This has been Jim Does SuperCoach. Happy SuperCoaching.